We're kicking off with WWE, and while Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns will make for quite the dominant team at Bad Blood, the unlikely alliance between the WrestleMania 40 adversaries hasn't made everyone happy. Cody and Reigns have aligned to take on the Bloodline, now led by Solo Sikoa, which both Rhodes and Michael Cole called the Rogue Outlaw Bloodline this week. On SmackDown, Randy Orton opened the show and asked Cody about his alliance with Reigns, with Rhodes stating that he would have to take Roman Reigns at his word. Kevin Owens also came out, as did the Bloodline, and things got tense as KO would openly choose Orton over Rhodes for the show's main event against Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. This was a subtle tease of dissent between the babyfaces, as Owens' decision to pick Orton without hesitation shows how he feels about the Cody-Roman alliance. Owens was asked about this situation last week, but never had the opportunity to give his honest thoughts. While he didn't outright give his thoughts this week, his response and choice of Orton made everything clear, adding another interesting layer to SmackDown's main event. During a backstage segment, KO got a little upset at Rhodes and told him to stay backstage during the main event, but Randy advised to come over if Tonga or Tonga Loa interfere. This once again showed the three faces not being on the same wavelength, and in the match, Kevin Owens and Jacob Fatu started things with a flurry of punches. Sikoa asked to tag in after Owens took control for a moment, and while Orton got the tag to the delight of the crowd chanting his name, Sikoa played mind games by tagging out again. Tonga Loa, and Cody Rhodes ended up getting involved, and it led to Rhodes accidentally costing his friends the match, upsetting Kevin Owens. The Canadian shoved Cody, and it was up to Orton to be the peacemaker, and the last shot of SmackDown was Owens giving Rhodes a hug. This match had fun sequences and plenty of physicality, but was marred with predictable story beats, as the Bloodlines interfering is now a given, a pattern the NWO fell into in WCW. We'll have to see what factor Owens and Orton play into the tag match at Bad Blood, and what did you make of the main event of SmackDown and the issues between the three faces? It's next weekend that WWE will host Bad Blood, and while Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair aren't set for a match, they will serve as the hosts of the premium live event. Not only will the tag champions host the show, but they've also teased VIP guests for the show, and we'll have to see what the EST and the Storm have in store. AJ Styles hasn't wrestled on WWE TV since Clash of the Castle in June, and while there were plans for him to return in August, that didn't take place. During the September 27th SmackDown, WWE aired a hype video for AJ Styles, and it was confirmed that he'll make his return to TV next week on October 4th. The timing of this is interesting, as it was reported this week that Styles' WWE contract is expiring sooner rather than later, and it's currently unknown whether he'll ink a new contract. It's also interesting as Styles and Triple H have reportedly been at odds creatively, with AJ wanting to be part of the OC as a heel, but the game insisting he have a singles run instead. Prior to his hiatus, AJ Styles had his eye on the undisputed WWE Championship, as he stated that he wants another major title reign before he retires. Only time will tell what they have in the pipeline for him, but he's bound to find himself in a storyline that draws attention. But what do you think Styles should do once he's finally back on TV? And who do you think his next opponent should be, and why? Let us know in the comments. Now, WWE is a well-oiled machine with a lot of things going on, but sometimes things don't go to plan, as Bayley found out this week during her entrance on SmackDown. During the show, Bayley faced off against Naomi in a #1 contenders match to determine Nia Jax's opponent at Bad Blood, a match that was promoted ahead of time. This wasn't a match slapped together at the last minute, but during Bayley's entrance, WWE opted to use her Titantron video from when she was part of Damage Control. The error was corrected quickly, as it was replaced by a SmackDown logo, but it certainly made the live USA Network broadcast, amusing fans who caught the botch. Bayley won that match against Naomi on SmackDown, and she punched her ticket to a WWE Women's title match at Bad Blood against Nia Jax, and did so without her former allies. On SmackDown, Nia Jax blamed Tiffany Stratton for last week's loss against Bayley and Naomi, and grabbed her so-called friend by the throat. After a moment of frustration, Jax released her, sarcastically stating, "Now we can be friends again." And many are seeing this as the beginning of the end of the duo's partnership. This friendship has always been expected to dissolve, given that Stratton holds the Money in the Bank contract, a guaranteed title opportunity at the gold Jax holds. The simmering tension between the two has long pointed to an inevitable split, with Stratton likely to cash in her contract at a strategic moment, possibly at Bad Blood next week. The development on SmackDown further suggests that the end of their alliance is near, especially as Pretty Deadly, who have aligned with the pair, have been missing from TV. We should state that the pair have been missing for good reasons, as Kit Wilson has gotten married to NXT's Stevie Turner, while Elton Prince recently became a dad. Without Pretty Deadly around, there's no one to play peacemaker between Jax and Stratton, making their inevitable split all the more likely in the near future. Do you think Bayley will win at Bad Blood? Or perhaps Stratton will cash in, or there'll be another surprise? Give your predictions down below. When not appearing on WWE TV, the Wyatt Six often use Twitter and social media to continue to deliver cryptic messages, and that was the case this week. On Twitter, Joe Gacy shared a map of the city of Columbus, and on the surface, many saw this as a nod to Alexa Bliss joining the group, given she's from Columbus, Ohio. Unfortunately for fans eager to see Bliss join the group, the map isn't for Columbus, Ohio, but rather Columbus, Georgia, and will mark the Wyatt Six debut at a WWE live event. Gacy almost certainly didn't mean to tease Alexa Bliss and was simply promoting the Wyatt Six's impending appearance, but the group did have a subtle role on SmackDown. The Wyatt door was spotted behind Naomi during a segment with Bayley, an interesting choice as the group hasn't used it for some time on WWE programming. Perhaps the door will be used at tonight's event in Columbus, and whatever is planned, expect another enigmatic performance by the Wyatt Six in the Civic Center. The excitement didn't stop when SmackDown went off the air this week as Liv Morgan took on Zelina Vega in a post-show dark match, with Liv retaining her Women's World Championship. In our second dark match of the night, Cody Rhodes defeated Austin Theory in their first match since August 2023, and this win makes the American Nightmare 3-0 against Theory. Both Morgan and Rhodes have huge matches set for Bad Blood, and they'll no doubt hope to ride the wave of momentum from these matches all the way to Atlanta, Georgia next week. On this week's AEW Dynamite Grand Slam, MVP made his debut in the promotion and made clear that he wants to manage former world champion Swerve Strickland. MVP handed a business card to Prince Nana to deliver to Strickland, which eagle-eyed fans noticed had the term Hurt Syndicate on it, all but confirming a new faction. MVP wants Strickland in this faction, and with the arrival of the former US champion, fans are eagerly anticipating the arrival of Bobby Lashley. Ibu of Wrestle Purists reports that fans shouldn't expect to be waiting long, as Lashley is expected to make his debut with AEW next month. Lashley will get the All Elite graphic confirming that he is signed with the promotion, and fans can expect him to align with MVP in the Hurt Syndicate. One name excited to see what's to come is NXT commentator Booker T, who on his Hall of Fame podcast reflected on MVP's arrival in AEW. He said, "MVP is a guy who, during the pandemic, was one of the MVPs. He did some hell of a work during that time, as well as with Bobby Lashley in the Hurt business. He did some really good work, he really did. So for me to have someone like MVP to be able to carry that mantle, because he does it and he does it well, for that reason and for that reason only, like a Paul Heyman." Booker emphasized how MVP has the unique talent of making others look good without needing to get physically involved in the ring. But what do you make of Lashley joining AEW next month? Do you feel he'll thrive in the All Elite environment? Sound off in the comments. It's no secret that 2024 has been a negotiation year for AEW, and the wrestling world continues to await confirmation about the promotion's future on air. This week, though, Swerve Strickland may have let a fairly gargantuan cat out of the bag when he was interviewed by YouTuber Trevor Queensflip Robinson at Coney Island's SneakerCon. During the video, Robinson encounters Strickland, and during their conversation, Swerve seemingly drops a massive reveal about AEW's future away from WBD. He said, "We about to get on Fox. SmackDown's leaving Fox, and we're taking Fox. TNT, TBS, and Fox. We got all three of them things." After a report from Fightful Select earlier this month, it has been rumored that AEW will be getting a show on Fox to replace SmackDown, which recently returned to the USA Network. With that said, the idea of AEW on Fox dates back to September 2023, when it was announced that SmackDown would be returning to USA. Ibu of Wrestle Purists has claimed to have heard whispers of a new show called AEW Shockwave, a term AEW recently trademarked, that will air on FS1 in the future. As for Strickland, his comment certainly suggests that AEW will be getting a time slot on Fox soon, but are you in favor of this? Share your thoughts down below. LA Knight was on SmackDown and almost cost Andrade his match, and the disrespected WWE Speed Champion felt he had no choice but to walk out. In recent weeks, Andrade has feuded with Carmelo Hayes, and the pair are 3-2 in their rivalry, with Andrade holding the lead over his former NXT champion. Last week, Andrade faced Knight for the US title but came up short, and after the match, Andrade offered a handshake, but the megastar was hesitant. Backstage, Hayes confronted Andrade about the loss, which resulted in a backstage brawl, and this week, the pair once again faced off in the ring. Before that match, Andrade confronted Knight and told him he lost respect for the United States champion, but Hayes interrupted things by blindsiding Knight. Once again, Andrade and Hayes delivered an exciting, evenly paced match, but the finish saw Knight emerge to try and attack Hayes, while Andrade tried to stop him from causing a DQ. Hayes used this distraction to roll up Andrade for a pin, and on commentary, Michael Cole noted that Andrade and Hayes are tied with 3 wins each. Cole then said Nick Aldis will have to make a 7th match between the two, and while that match is likely, it's not been announced as of this time. Following the match, Andrade was visibly upset and confronted Knight, and the two were seen backstage where things got violent once again. Both tried to attack the other, but Nick Aldis was able to intervene, telling the pair to knock it off as backstage crew separated the Speed Champion and the US Champion. Andrade commented on his situation with Knight and how the megastar ultimately cost him the match this week, stating, "You got into my business, now you and I have a problem." It remains to be seen how this issue is resolved, as Carmelo Hayes also has his sights on the US champion, and with 2 talented adversaries, Knight's days with the gold could be numbered. Earlier this week, it was reported that Malakai Black's AEW contract could expire in early 2025, and WWE has got an eye on the former NXT champion. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it said that WWE wants Black back, and with his wife Zelina Vega already with WWE, we'll have to see what kind of offer is made to the Dutchman. Do you think Black should return to WWE, or would he ultimately be sidelined like many big names in the promotion? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Not too long ago, it was stated that Mercedes Mone is the highest paid woman in wrestling, and while it was later said she wasn't making as much as first reported, she's definitely earning a lot. Appearing on The Breakfast Club this week, Mone responded to questions about being the highest paid, and while she doesn't know the pay of others, she hopes this is the case. She said, "I hope so, I would like to think so. I don't know other people's bank accounts, but I like that title. I definitely want to make more money." While some may take issue with however much Mone is making in AEW, the reigning TBS champion won't apologize for being a highly paid commodity, as she added, "I'm getting what I deserve. I don't even want to say it's crazy, it's just beautifully deserved and earned, and it's something that I worked so hard for such a long time." Mone then turned the conversation to the topic of pay equity in wrestling and why women are often not paid anywhere close to their male counterparts. "I want women to work for what they deserve. I finally got something that, as women, we're like, no, you can't even see those numbers, you can't even talk about those numbers, you can't even walk into the room and ask for a raise or ask for a bonus or anything." What are your thoughts on Mercedes Moné's bragging about her receiving the highest pay and her stance on pay equity in wrestling? Share your thoughts in the comments below. On this week's Raw, Bron Breakker's 51-day reign as Intercontinental Champion came to an end at the hands of Jey Uso, raising questions as to what's next for Breakker. Since arriving in WWE, many have touted Bron as a future top name, possibly even a WrestleMania headliner, so his reign being cut short so abruptly has certainly raised eyebrows. Speaking to 99.5 WKDQ, Breakker admitted that he's not sure what's next, and similarly isn't sure if former champions are entitled to a rematch. He said, I don't know. I don't back down from anybody, but certainly right now the future is a little bit unknown. I'm not really sure, I guess I'll have to wait and see." When asked about being owed a rematch, "I think so. It was my championship. I have a right to a rematch. That's how it typically goes. We'll see. I don't know. If it's not my place, I need to go elsewhere, and something else comes up, I'll answer the call." Even with this loss, expectations remain high for Bron Breakker, but whatever's planned, it'll be without the Intercontinental Championship, at least for the time being. Did WWE make a mistake by dethroning Bron after just 51 days? What do you think should be next for him in WWE? Give your thoughts below. Due to Hurricane Helene, there have been widespread disruptions in the world of wrestling, with Joe Hendry's House of Glory appearance being canceled and TNA rescheduling tapings. Those tapings were set to take place in Spartanburg, Florida, and while NXT also operates its live events in the state, the Gold brand has been largely unaffected. Not only did WWE go ahead with last night's NXT live event in Davenport, Florida, but the show saw Lyons make her return after being sidelined for 8 months with a knee injury. Lyons' most recent match on TV was on January 9th when she faced Blair Davenport, and after an extensive recovery, her return delighted fans in Davenport this week. On social media, fans shared their welcome back messages, as well as photos and videos of her return, as Lyons teamed with Dante Chen to win a mixed tag team match. While it's unclear when she'll officially return to WWE's NXT TV, Lyons' successful in-ring comeback is a promising sign for her future in WWE, and hopefully she can avoid another injury like this. Fans in Davenport, Florida didn't just get to see the return of Nikkita Lyons, but they also saw the second NXT Live appearance of Giulia, who was also in action. 1 week after her NXT Live debut, Giulia was in Davenport and she was able to score a victory over the no-quarter catch crew's Ren Sinclair. Giulia will compete next week for the women's title against Roxanne Perez, and will NXT's new era on the CW also see a new champion crowned? Time will tell. For some time, it's been rumored that the Lucha Bros would be joining WWE after a lengthy run with AEW, as it was said that the team's contracts would be expiring in August and September. While Tony Khan made offers to Penta and Rey Fenix in early summer, the pair made clear they wanted to leave, and a WWE source said it wouldn't be a surprise if they were in the Performance Center soon. Now things have changed in a major way, as Fightful Select reports that the Lucha Bros have had time extended to their AEW deals, preventing them from joining WWE just yet. Penta's contract has seen just a few months added, an update from the Wrestling Observer adds, covering time off due to a leg injury in 2020. It's added that while he can't officially negotiate with WWE, they have made a competitive offer, and Penta is firm on going to WWE in a few months when he can. As for Rey Fenix, his time extension is said to be nearly but not quite a year, as he missed 3 months in 2021, close to 4 in 2022, and half a year from October 2023. While that time would put Fenix past 1 year, it's speculated that his 2021 time isn't being included, meaning he'll remain under contract with AEW for around 10 months. Fans may have been excited about seeing Penta and Rey Fenix team in WWE, but they'll have to wait, as AEW isn't ready to let their former tag team champions leave for the competition just yet. Each week, WWE provides hours of live content to fans, but sometimes the company is required to tape shows in advance, and that'll be the case next week. PW Insider has confirmed that on October 7th, WWE will air a live Raw in St. Louis, and will also tape the following week's Raw that will air on October 14th. WWE will air a live SmackDown from Brooklyn, New York on October 25th, and will also tape next week's show that'll air on November 1st, and serve as the go-home show before Crown Jewel. We'll have to see how WWE handles booking all the storylines for Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown next month, as managing double tapings will be a lengthy process for all involved. Chelsea Green accompanied Piper Niven with a trash can, a tease of next week's dumpster match with Michin, but it was Michin who took control early on against Niven. A distraction from Green allowed Niven to hit a cannonball from the apron. We returned from a break to see the former Dewdrop still in the driver's seat. Michin was able to fend off interference from Green before hitting her finisher to pin Niven, and this was decent, albeit with some sloppy moments and a lack of aggression that should have been there. In WWE NXT, Swerve Strickland was known as Isaiah Swerve Scott and became a key member of Hit Row, with fans admiring his wrestling ability as well as his charisma. Swerve was seen as the standout member of the group, but that didn't save him from being released by WWE in late 2021, and not too long after the group's call-up to SmackDown. While speaking to The Breakfast Club, Strickland was asked about a return to WWE and made clear he's satisfied with his current role in AEW and isn't interested in making a comeback. Strickland spoke of the opportunities he's had in AEW, which he feels WWE could never match, and gave credit to Tony Khan for letting him grow as a performer without restrictions. His experience has allowed the former world champion to develop as a pro wrestler and businessman, according to Swerve, and he's fully embraced his mogul persona in AEW. Swerve recently signed a new multi-year contract that'll keep him all elite until at least 2028, and while the exact length isn't known, the deal is considered one of the most significant in AEW history. AEW sources have expressed their enthusiasm for Swerve's work both in and out of the ring, and he's expected to remain a key player at the top of the card throughout the run of his contract. Strickland shared that WWE did reach out to him to ask about his availability after his release, so WWE had been interested in rehiring him alongside the rest of Hit Row in 2022. Swerve also claims that political moves hindered him in WWE and that Triple H didn't give him enough opportunities in NXT, making him even happier now to be a part of AEW. Do you believe that Swerve Strickland is far better off in AEW now than when he was in WWE? Let us know in the comments section below. More from SmackDown, as this week was another huge show, and fans can expect plenty more next week when the Blue brand comes to the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. On SmackDown, it was confirmed that the WWE tag titles will be on the line when the Bloodline defend against DIY and the Street Profits in a ladder match. Speaking of future matches, Naomi issued a challenge to Tiffany Stratton to a future match and mentioned that she would discuss the details with Nick Aldis. Fans will be eagerly awaiting for that match to be made official, as the Glow's path to a potential women's title match with Nia Jax could see her face Miss Money in the Bank very soon. And we're ending with CM Punk, who has appeared in a number of films and TV shows, including having a much acclaimed role in Girl on the Third Floor. This week, a trailer for a new comedy movie, Let's Start a Cult, released, in which Punk is part of a gaggle of wayward souls who wish to join the titular cult. The film will give Punk an opportunity to flex his comedy chops, but the best in the world won't be laughing next week when he enters Hell in a Cell with Drew McIntyre at Bad Blood.